right. So how old were you when you went to go see your recruiter?
I was 17. It was my senior year of high school. My parents were on the last leg of their divorce after 26 years. They should have gotten divorced a long time before, but it was my senior year. And so at that time, it was just, for me, it was just, I wasn't ready for college. I knew that. I was, we were in the middle of the year and we're taking our SATs and everything. And I'm like, I mean, I did well on them. I didn't just, blow them off, but I really didn't care because I wasn't wanting to go to college right away. And so for me, it was really kind of hindsight looking back. I needed to get out of where I was. I needed to get out of that environment and really be able to go and prove myself to me and to know what I could do. And so I went to my dad and I told him, I was like, Dad, I don't want to go to college. I was like, I'm your last kid. You can get off scot-free if you let me go into the military. What do you think? And he was like, well, we talked about it, of course, in depth. And then, his one condition was just look at all the branches before you make a decision, look at everything equally and make an informed decision and everything like that. And so, of course, naturally, I joined the Marine Corps because it's the best. And to me, it was, the reason why I chose the Marine Corps and not any of the other branches is that it is the most difficult. It is the highest, in my eyes. You've got a harder boot camp. You go through a lot more. And it's not to say it's better than the others, but for me personally, I needed to prove to myself what I could do. And for me, if I could be successful through the Marine Corps, then nothing in life could stop me. And that's kind of why I chose that path, because I didn't see myself doing anything else. I needed some me time and some growth. And that provided it for me.
So women train women in the Marine Corps.
Yes.
Okay, so was there maybe a lesson, maybe that's the wrong word, that these women tried to teach you all about being women Marines? Was there
Yeah.
a hard truth there?
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, it's kind of a hard truth I've heard my whole life. Just being brought up the way that I was, that, just because you're a female, you don't get any slack. You're going to be treated the same as your brothers, that kind of thing. And through boot camp and things like that, one of the things that you got a lot of was, don't let your guard down. Don't be, basically you have to be better. You have to be stronger. You have to go faster. You have to be smarter, so that you can earn your respect of your brothers, not only just because you're a Marine, but you also have to do a little bit more as a female so that you can, kind of, I guess, fit in's the wrong word. But I guess to assimilate, I don't know, that doesn't really make sense.
Be accepted.
Yeah, be accepted. You had to do more so that you could be, seen as getting a level of respect because you were actually, not viewed as just a woman, because there was a lot of that. There still is, but.
What was your job?
Corrections, guard prisoners. Yeah, it was a fun times. It was supposed to be 5811, but my recruiter got me. He got me in the 5800 field, so I was corrections.
Did you deploy at all?
No, we stayed behind in the corrections field. You really kind of stayed behind and guarded the prisoners. You really didn't do much deployments. What I did get chosen for chasing duty, which was really neat. It wasn't something that everybody got to do, and I got to go on a couple of chases before I got out, so that was pretty neat.
What is a chase?
Where you transport prisoners from place to place.
Okay.
Yeah, under custody.
Were these all just military prisoners?
Yes. Yeah, you're everybody from every branch, just anyone from, someone who'd got caught smoking pot or failed a drug test, or, all the way to the bad stuff, the murders, the other things, it ran the gamut.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How long were you in?
I was in for 4 years.
So tell me about when you got out.
Oh, wow. It was a little bit of a difficult time. I would say the last 2.5 years of my time in, my body was failing me pretty miserably.
What happened?
It was just, I hurt all the time. My clothes hurt to touch my body. I could barely walk, like literally. You would see me walking with a limp because I couldn't walk. And
did you get a diagnosis?
no,
So they don't
not until after,
Okay.
long after. Going into medical, I would always be told, suck it up, Marine, or, it's in your head. And I'm like, when I wake up in agony because I turned over in the middle of the night,
and I wake up screaming because of how bad it hurts. This isn't me malingering. This isn't me not wanting to do what my responsibilities are. This is me being in pain. But you keep telling me to suck it up, And so it was difficult because I felt like I had been failed by the Marine Corps. Like, they didn't take care of me. They didn't care. It was like, it was my fault that I was hurt, that my body couldn't deal with what was going on. Now, later down the road, 13 years after I'm out, I'm still dealing with the constant pain. I'm still dealing with all of the effects of that and what happened because they didn't actually find something and they just kept telling me to suck it up, or, oh, come look at this, look what she can do with her hip, or telling me you've got runner's knee in your hip. It doesn't even make sense, or telling me that you want to cut me open and have surgery on me that's not even 50% chance that it's going to work, and so it's difficult because I love the Marine Corps, but my body wouldn't allow me to continue. And so the way that I was perceived by my unit was very different than the way that I feel like it should have been, because I was an outstanding Marine. I did my job. I did my job very well. I was selected. I got numerous meritorious masks. I got commendated all the time. I got selected for certain responsibilities above and beyond my pay grade. I ended up running an entire unit. My own unit, I was one of the counselors, which is an E6 position that I held as an E4, that I had to go to board and qualify for, So it wasn't like I was just gaffing off all the time. I was very studious. I did what I was supposed to do, and I always went above and beyond. And so to have that negative from my command, because they always felt like, oh, well, you're on light duty, you can't do the PT, you can't do this. Well, you know what? No, I can't, but I do the best I can in any way, and I'm meeting the standards and everything like that. But it was just, it was really difficult because my command looked down on me for the things that my body did. And that was it's still hard to deal with. It's a loss. And so, but that was
What did you think, so what did you do first when you separated?
Oh, first thing I did, I cut my hair. I hadn't cut my hair since I had gotten in. It was almost down to like my bottom. I went and I had it whacked off. I colored it. I got my nails done, had acrylics put on, because you're not supposed to do that. So I did it. And then I went and visited my family for a little bit because they were I was still in South Carolina after I got out, and they were all in Texas. And so I made a trip and visited my family, and actually got married on my leave, and then later divorced. But yeah. And then soon after that, because at the time, like I said, I was married, and so my ex was in the Navy, so then we got moved to Virginia. And up there, I ended up going to school, utilized my GI Bill, went to college, or got my associates, transferred over to ODU, and got my bachelor's in psychology.
How'd you come to Houston?
Oh, man. Houston was home, and I was gone for about 10 years. And so I was like, it's maybe time to go back and see my family and be a part of them, maybe, because, not that I wasn't, but just to be, involved. And my nieces were getting older, my niece and nephews, and family was growing. And my grandfather had a number of strokes while I was serving and while I was gone. And so he was, I ended up, right as I had moved back to Texas, I helped my dad find a veteran's home where he could stay, because his strokes had gotten so bad. He had aphasia and things like that where my grandmother couldn't care for him. So we found a home for him and got him moved in and everything like that right when I got back to Houston. And so it was really for family. And so, yeah.
Was there a hard time during that time?
Yeah.
Maybe you had to look for other resources?
And what do you mean? In what way?
How'd you find out about Race After Fire?
Actually, it was through the Women's Veteran Empowerment Expo, which I found out about through my church, through the Armed Forces Ministry that I'm part of. And they had told me I had seen an email or something come through about the Women's Veteran Empowerment Expo, and I was like, I'm going to go to that, because for whenever I got back to Houston, it took me a good, I would say 5 or 6 years to actually even get connected with the veteran community.
like, just you see the things for Wounded Warrior and things like that, and it was really difficult for me to find well, I finally found a church home, and that's where I got into their armed forces ministry, which led me to Grace After Fire. And so I thought that was a pretty cool path of of coming to. So
Do you have kids?
no.
Okay. When did you get a divorce?
In 2009, it was like my senior year of my graduate or my bachelor's degree.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've had a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But you're so
Yeah.
happy. I mean, tell me how you maintain the smile.
I mean, God, I'm alive. God woke me up this morning. You know, things could be so much worse. You know, you think about it, and, you know, especially with today being Memorial Day, you sit and think, I didn't get deployed. I didn't have to go into a situation where I could potentially lose my life and never come back. You know, I am able to come and chat with you, or to go and celebrate with friends and family, and to see people. And it's those things. Like, I don't let it's bits and pieces of life get in my way, because life is going to happen. There's going to be ups and downs, and some of it's going to make you sad, some of it's going to make you mad. But I mean, what are you really going to do with that? Are you going to hold on to that resentment, or wouldn't it be better just to smile and choose to be happy? Because happiness is a choice. It's not about your circumstances. And that's I want to be able to have other people ask me why, and be able to share some of my story with them, and maybe that'll help someone else. Maybe that'll make an impact in someone else's life. Or maybe just the fact that I smile and I say hi to someone walking down the street. Maybe that will be the person that, maybe nobody else has seen them and they needed somebody to say hi, or they needed a genuine smile, and that's a lot of the reason why I maintain a smile on my face.
So tell me, when you were at the expo,
Mm-hmm.
and you went up to the table for Grace After Fire,
Mm-hmm.
did you kind of know what they were about?
I had no clue. None whatsoever. I had actually just come out of a class, and the fact alone that they were one of 5 women veteran organizations, or veteran organizations that work directly with women, that to me I was like, okay, I've got to meet these people. I've got to meet them. The class that I had went through, one of the sessions that they had, it was an amazing class. I really enjoyed it. I felt like I got a lot of good insight, and it was just really well done. And so I talked with them, and actually ended up praying with one of the ladies that was involved with Grace After Fire at the time, and then met Tana. And then after that, it actually took me about a year to get back in touch with them, because for whatever reason, I guess the timing wasn't right, And then recently I was able to get back in touch with them, and things have just really taken off. I'm really excited to be able to be a part of them. What I was doing with them is I've actually volunteered for the Table Talk Color Me Camo facilitation. So I facilitate the Table Talk Color Me Camo, which is basically, it's just talking about, your experiences in and out of military, your experiences as a female in the military and with your family, and all the ins and outs kind of surround our specific situation, right? Because it's not the same as the next woman that is not a military veteran. And so it's a little bit different. And it's nice to also be able to be where you can be with women that understand without you really having to go into too much detail. They get what it was like. They understand some of the nuances that you might have to explain a little bit more in depth to someone who might not be a veteran. And so it's just, and that's one of my passions, is really being able to, help and just facilitate, and maybe, in some of our courses, or throughout the course of some of the discussions that we have, just maybe help someone realize something, or have some self-awareness, or make that next step to level up in their life, or to say, what, I'm not going to let this hold me back anymore. I'm going to take that next step and move forward. And I have sisters around me that love me and support me, and I think that's a big aspect of it.
Well, it's got to be therapy for you too.
Oh, it absolutely
is.
So
how has hearing all this changed you?
How is what?
How is hearing everyone? How is helping everyone at Table Talk?
I mean, it just really has, for me individually, like, it's nice to know that I'm not alone in some of the ways that I feel, or some of the ways that I think, or, just some of my mannerisms, because I can be a little much for people sometimes. You either like me or you don't. It's okay. I understand. But just some of the you know, like, I guess for one side of it, you know, I'm not very emotional. Like, yes, I was crying because the pain and that thing, it's still very hurtful, but there's not very many things I cry about. And there's not many things that make me really sad, unless it's a puppy, you know. But it's nice because it's like, it doesn't make me, when I'm with those women and when I'm in my group and we're talking, we're sharing things, you know, a lot of them are like, you know, yeah, you know, watching Bambi die on TV doesn't bother me. You know, I'm like, yeah, me either. Because, you know, if it was up to everybody else, I kind of feel like it would make me, like, that makes me different, that I'm not so sensitive, or, you know, I don't have some of the same views, or I like to shoot guns because I like to shoot guns for fun, and I like to target practice, you know, and I like to shoot clay pigeons, and that's okay too, because that's a lot of the other women enjoy the same things I do, you know, and that gives me comfort in knowing that I'm not by myself. That even though for a long time I really kind of felt like I was, that I didn't have anyone that would understand, you know, who I am, or the way that I think, or, you know, those types of things. You know, you go into this group and it's like instant community again. It's like being right back in the court. You know, people know exactly what to, you know, kind of where you're at and where you're coming from at all times. So you don't really have to explain much. It's just easy to be together and enjoy.
What took you so long?
Oh gosh, tell me about it, right? Seriously, because ever since I got back, I've really been looking. I really have. And then, like, whenever in January, when I was able to get back in touch with Grace After Fire, and I actually came in and found out about Combined Arms, and now I'm like a mouthpiece for them. I'm like, everybody I meet, when I go to the VA, I'm like, have you signed up with Combined Arms yet? If not, you need to do it right here. You can do it right here from my phone. Or you can take this, you know, and I'm like, you need to get plugged into them, because there's so many opportunities through the different organizations here that I mean, it's amazing that we have that here in Houston. And it blows my mind, because there's so many other cities, and I'm very thankful for living here because of what the city does for our vets, and because of everything that they put together for us, the way that they treat us. I mean, it's just, Houston is the place to be if you're a veteran.
What do you think about the women veterans here in Houston?
I wish that we could get a little bit more involvement. You know, I wish that, especially with my experience in a number of different groups that I'm working with in different capacities, I wish that women veterans were more prominent. Not necessarily more prominent, but would speak up more about who they are. Because a lot of women veterans really won't say anything unless they're directly asked, or things like that. And sometimes I feel like it is it's a little difficult to get the engagement because of the different eras that have been served in across the board. Like, for example, you know, you might have women that came out of Vietnam that really won't identify much, and they don't feel like they're part of other groups, you know, and it's getting them to come out and finding those people and saying, hey, come with us. Let me show you where you can go and have community. Let me show you where you can go and have support. Let me, you know, just come with me, or, you know, let me just plug you in here or plug you in there, so that you can get what I've gotten. And because it's amazing to be able to be around other women that have the same background, have gone through the same training, you know, have that, I guess, that persona about them, you know, that are veterans, and they just know it. They know it's just a piece being around other women veterans that I want to share with all of them, you know, because it really has helped me a lot.